On Mayuresh Joshi and talk about what he's feeling about the market, while the SGX Nifty is indicating an upside of about almost 0.5%. But Mayuresh, morning, are you buying this decline in the market? And to begin with, do you believe that it's overdone and it's time for a massive rebound from here?
So morning, Ash. I think for all the macro concerns that one is talking about, I think those macro concerns still stay. So crude is still at elevated levels. You might blame it on the uncertainty related to the Iran sanctions. And again, I think the rupee movement against the dollar, I think that is accentuating the kind of trade and the current account deficit that the economy is facing at this point of time. Add to that, I think the expectations of Fed hiking rates, the RBI expected to hike rates. I think that is getting reflected in terms of the bond yields and the movement of the 10-year paper. A large element in terms of what we are probably witnessing, apart from all these issues and the liquidity concerns surrounding the NBFC space in general, I think the tightness might continue for the near term. But I think over the longer period of time, it has to normalize. With cost of funds moving higher, obviously I think the cost curve for most borrowers, whether they are NBFCs, whether they are companies who need to borrow money, either in terms of working capital requirements, obviously the cost curve moves up. But again, I think it's a mean reversion in terms of business fundamentals. And with that aspect, my own sense is that qualitative names will show a bounce back. Near-term earnings might get a hit because of all these concerns. But over the next 1 to 2 quarters, I think normalization should happen. And these companies with strong capital adequacy, with strong earnings, momentum and rebound should show a good amount of movement going ahead. So there might be near-term pain, but the medium-term and long-term outlook on qualitative stocks remains very, very positive from our side.
Sugar, that's going to be another interesting segment to watch today. Not to say that it wasn't the buzzer in yesterday's session as well, but it seems that the cabinet is going to be taking up an important decision. Sugar stocks held out yesterday itself, and it seems that that 4,500 crore rupee sugar package proposal may be coming up for a decision today itself. Sandeep, you've been tracking sugar very, very closely, and ever since that ethanol blending clarity as well came, you've been a buyer in sugar. Do you believe that sugar continues to be a buy on dips? Because
so I would say that you buy in these panics, but then you get out when you get your 15-20% and keep some 20-25% cash. That has to be the strategy till next elections.
Mayuresh, give me a name of a stock idea which you bought in this fall.
So Nikunj, I think everybody is speaking about the NBFC space. My own sense is that a stock like L&T Finance, for example, is looking very, very attractive. It might fall further because of all the concerns surrounding NBFCs at this point of time. But again, I think the diversified model that this company carries forward, again, I think the rural part of their business is growing extremely strong, whether that's two-wheeler financing, tractor financing. The write-down that they're probably doing in terms of the treasury book, the fee income growth has been stupendous. At the same time, I think even with the incorporation of the new Ind AS and the asset quality recognition, my own sense is that the kind of reported numbers, I think they should keep on improving henceforth. And that will reflect very, very positively in terms of both their earnings momentum and the return ratio. So I think any significant fall, in my opinion, I think this becomes a very good bet for long-term investors.
Okay, just very quickly a take on Yes Bank as well before I let Sandeep Sabharwal go. Sandeep, what is it that you made of the board meet outcome? I mean, we know the two names which were being talked about, Rajat Monga, Pralay Mondal, they've been upped as ED. But the fact that Rana Kapoor has asked for an extension till April, we're also picking up from our sources that Madhu Kapoor is going to say a complete no-no to that. So this is again still a very great story.
Yeah, it is because
I want to throw Indiabulls Finance at you, Mayuresh Joshi. It's a nifty stock. Yes, sir, it's a nifty stock. And the stock is down almost 50% from its recent high.
Well, it is, Nikunj, and again I think it's for all these concerns surrounding what had happened over the past few days and weeks. But a large element in terms of the parameters that the company is working on, you look at their AUM growth, you look at their advances growth, and even if you look at their asset quality, I think the asset quality has remained extremely stable. The cost of funds for the universe as a whole, whether you're talking about Indiabulls Finance or the other NBFC companies, is bound to go up more or less with rates rising at this point of time. But again, I think the pass-through element in terms of letting the rates go through for hikes undertaken by the company in the past and expected hikes in the future, I think that should probably protect their NIMs and spreads. Now, whether growth can happen because of shortage of capital raising at this point of time, you can probably normalize growth a tad bit on the downside. But that does not mean that the company is probably going to degrow its earnings. They're still going to grow at a very decent pace, along with other parameters remaining stable. There might be some compression on NIMs if they're not able to fully pass through. But that again probably gets gestated with the fall that we've seen. So I think I'm holding on to the stock in my funds. I think a clear hold unless clarity emerges in terms of all the concerns surrounding liquidity start ebbing out. I think the normalization in terms of mean reversion to earnings should start taking place in qualitative stocks like Indiabulls as well.
Okay, 60 seconds to go, and then let's hope that what we saw yesterday in terms of selling and also in terms of broader market stability, that's here to stay. There is so much of collateral damage which has happened that a lot of stocks are simply oversold. They're way off their fundamental